Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Paul the 619, and you're watching Conversations with the Community. I am still waiting for my guest. My special guest for this Sunday is Real Rude. He said he was going to be here. I don't know where he's at. So for right now, it is just me. Okay, so we're supposed to do this interview without our shirts on because the weather has been very hot, and sometimes Rude, when he's on my live stream on Tuesday nights, he's not wearing a shirt. So we were going to do this interview without our shirts. I don't know where he's at, though. I texted him a couple times. I didn't want you guys to wait too long and tune somewhere else. So I started the show hoping that he would jump on. But I guess we're just going to wait. So let's talk. Last weekend, I went to Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was amazing con. It's probably the best Comic Con that I've ever been to, and I've been to a few. Let me say hi to people that are here. Before I go any further, Phil, what's up, man? I met Phil. Phil is a cool dude. So, Phil, thank you for being here. It was a pleasure meeting you. It was crazy because I met so many people in the community that I watch on YouTube, and to meet them in person was mind-blowing. It was crazy. HOFG, what's up, man? Thank you for being here. Let's see who else is in here. Kenneth Bird, what's up, brother? Bedazzle, thank you for being here. My homie Marvin Wynn, I met Marvin Wynn. If you look around me, I have so much Edge stuff. If he has it, I want it. As far as his comic book, it's a comic book that I believe in, that I love. I love the story, I love the character. So Marvin Wynn, dude, it was so awesome to meet you. Yeah, it was incredible. Pops, what's up, Pops? As far as the interview, I'm still waiting on Real Rude. I've texted him a couple times. He said he was going to be here. He's not here yet. Someone said it earlier. It's not rude if he's on time. So I'm cutting him some slack. Entropian Comics, what's up? Yes, we're waiting on Rude. Okay, so last week I went to Heroes Con. I was there for all 3 days. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We stayed at a hotel, the Westin, which was across the street from the convention center. So, so the thing is that everything was so close by that my wife and I didn't get a rental car until after the con. Because after the con, we drove up to see one of my buddies in Maryland. Actually, it was Annapolis, Maryland. It was a good drive. Yeah, Rude's on his way to Winnemucca. Yeah, right. Let me make you a moderator. So the 7 people that are here, thank you for being here. Again, we're waiting on Rude. Okay, so from Charlotte, North Carolina, my wife and I, we got a rental car and drove up. Oh, before I go further about the rental car. So when we checked out on Monday morning, we took a Uber to the airport. That's where our rental car was. On the way there, we were in I think it was an SUV. I looked on my door because my wife and I, we were sitting in the second row, and I looked on the door on the side, and there was a handful of money, and I was like, oh damn. So I got the money, and the thing is, I wanted to give the lady the money at the end of the ride because I didn't want it to be all weird if I, all of a sudden sit down and I say, oh yeah, I found this on the side of your door and handed it to her. I think the ride to the airport would have been weird. So I got the money, I stuffed it in my pocket. So actually, when we were driving to the airport, the lady that was driving the Uber was so nice. She was telling us about how, about her kids, about living in Charlotte. Nice lady. So, okay, so we get to the airport, and then, before we get out, I tell the lady, yeah, I found this money on the side door back here, and it's in your car, so it's your money. So here you go. And she was like, what? I go, yeah, this money was, and like, she didn't believe me. See, if I gave it to her sooner in the beginning of the ride, it would have been weird. She would have been like, are you know what I mean? It would have been like weird. Rex, what's up, Rex? Hey, Rex, we're waiting on Rude. He's late for the one-on-one interview. Oh my gosh, it's like 10 minutes after now. Well, hopefully he makes it. I'll stay on for until like 12:30, I guess. But so I gave her the money, and she's like tripping out. She's like, oh my God, I had this much money in my car, and and I go, yeah, it was just sitting right here. So I gave her the money, and then we get out, get the rental car, and it was cool because we rented Dollar rent a car, and it seemed like every other, like Hertz and all the other car rentals, the lines were like super long. The cool thing about Dollar, there was no line. We just walked right up and got in. We were like in and out, and it was funny because when we were walking out, everyone was looking at us like, you asshole, because it was so fast. The process of getting a rent a car was so fast. And it was weird because out here there's a lot of Teslas, there's a lot of Toyotas. Out where we were at, man, so many people were driving Hyundais. Not sure if that's because they were all rental cars or people just like Hyundai cars. I don't know, but there were so many Hyundais out there. But the thing is, it wasn't like the fanciest car, but it got us from A to B. The air conditioning worked good. Oh, funny thing is, when we turned on the rental car, we didn't know they had heated seats until we turned in the car. It was like, oh shit, because our backs, we were on the road, like we were driving like 5 hours time, like from Charlotte to Maryland was about 5 hours. And I got another story on that too. So it was about 5 hours, and then from Maryland to Ohio was about like 5-6 hours. So yeah, we were on the road a lot. But my wife and I, we didn't kill each other. We actually got along, had some laughs, listened to a lot of our favorite music. It was actually an enjoyable ride. So it's good that we didn't fight a lot. There was some disagreements. I'm gonna tell you the first disagreement. Okay, so my wife, she booked a place in Maryland, and I wrote the place down. Because I can't remember what the name of it was. It was named Glen Burnie, and I don't know if anyone is familiar with Glen Burnie, Maryland. It's like it's not the best part of town. So when we pull, okay, so Red Roof Inn. I've never stayed at a Red Roof Inn, but I thought a Red Roof Inn was kind of like a Hilton. It is not. Red Roof Inn is not like a Hilton because when we went there, we noticed that there was like homeless people all around this hotel. You know, they had like shopping carts on its side, and they were all sitting there, and it looked like there was some shady characters, you know, walking like around. Like, okay, I'm not gonna say they were drug dealers, but they looked like drug dealers, right? So, you know, and then there was like it was like 3 levels, and people were actually doing laundry and hanging their laundry over the railing. And I'm thinking, holy shit, there's no way I'm gonna stay in this place. So, you know, we actually bounced out of there. You know, we didn't even look at the room. You know, I got the key, went to the front desk, and I told the dude, we're not staying here. He's all, why? What's wrong? I said, dude, there's a lot wrong. I said, we're gonna go find another place. And the whole time, my wife was very apologetic. The guy was actually nice at the front desk. He was just like, I'm sorry, I apologize. And you know, the thing is, you know, my wife has like a Louis Vuitton bag and one of those a Louis Vuitton duffel bag, and we would go in this place, and it was like, nah, man, they're gonna break into our shit, like our rental car or whatever. So we bounced from there, and we actually it was like 9 o'clock at night. It was getting late, but I did call my friend, and my friend's Patrick Hardy. He's part of my Tuesday night the Tuesday night Amazing Friends stream, and he actually lives in Annapolis, which is really close to Glen Burnie. But it's funny because Glen Burnie and Annapolis, it's like night and day. And Annapolis is like, you know, it's right by the water. They have a marina. It's where they have the Naval Academy, and yeah, it was like nice. It was really nice. I was like, Leanne, why didn't we stay over here? Why do we have to go? And you know, and my okay, this is, you know, for my wife's defense. If you look at the picture of the hotel, the picture looks awesome. But when you look at the actual hotel, it's run down. They got homeless all over. That actually, like, there's people there that rent rooms for the month or whatever. They live there. But it was, man, it was really bad. But so we went to my friend Patrick Hardy. Man, they were so nice. It was so late at night. I was embarrassed because I felt like I was imposing, but they were so cool. They looked at our faces and they're like, "Do you need a beer?" I was like, "Yeah, we need a beer." So we were drinking beers, having a good time, and then I actually got to see the Patrick, the Hardy Museum that night. Pretty much, it's his. Their basement is pretty much all of Patrick's movie props. I know the people that follow our show have seen they have seen the room, the space where he has like a lot of horror props. He's got props from movies, from like John Wick, excuse me, John Wick, Hellboy, Judge Dredd, and these are like one of a kind, like movie props, you know. And if they're not one of a kind, there's like one of three. So, you know, all that stuff down in his basement, I mean, is like tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm actually seeing this stuff in person. I was in awe. It was so amazing. And you know, the thing is that with me, while I'm on vacation, my most favorite thing to do is to go to LCSs in different parts of the country. And it didn't let me down. You know, there was one Capital Comics. It was a smaller comic book store, but the owner was dope. I forget his name. I have it written down, but That guy was cool. And then so the people on the East Coast, I think you guys are familiar with 3i Comics. Well, the one in Annapolis is freaking amazing. It's actually it's hard to explain. It's like three buildings. It was three buildings. One building had strictly games, right? So I go in there, I go, where are all the comics? And then the lady's like, oh, it's a couple buildings down. I'm all, what? She's all, it's a couple buildings down. Do you need a map? I say, you need a map? I was like, yeah. She shows me the layout. And then, yeah, it was like three buildings. The first one, like I said, was gaming. The second one was like, I think it was like movies and records. And then the last one was comics. And I don't have anything like that, where I live. It's yeah, it was incredible. And then so that was the second LCS I went to. The third one is I went to, okay, I didn't want to go to Washington D.C., but my wife insisted. So we did a detour. We went to Washington D.C. before we went to Ohio. In Ohio is Leanne's family. That's where my wife's originally from. So I actually we go to DC, right? And we couldn't find any parking, we couldn't find any parking. So my wife, she said, well, we got to see you got to see the Lincoln Memorial. So I was like, okay, we'll go to the Lincoln Memorial. So so my wife drives around and she gets as close as she can to the Lincoln Monument, and I jump out of the car. And okay, granted, like in Maryland, Washington D.C., it was like 98 plus. There were some days that hit over 100, so it was hot as balls, right? So I jump out of the car, and I'm running up the steps. I'm running up the steps. I go up to where Honest Abe is. I take a selfie. Click. I run back down the steps, and I'm looking for my wife because she never got out of the car. She stayed in the car the whole time, just driving around. And then when I saw her, I jumped in the car. And then before we left DC, I was like, can we go to LCS before we bounce? And she's all like, sure. So we find a comic book store in an older building. It was Phantom Comics, and the layout was interesting. It's like it was 2-story with like I guess it's a underground space. So on the very top was Phantom Comics. In the middle was Subway. At street level was Subway, and then below that, below street level was a Mexican restaurant. So I'd be in that building every day. Comics, Subway sandwiches, and then a Mexican restaurant. But I'm not sure how Mexican food is in DC. If someone could tell me if it's good or bad, I don't know. But I gotta tell you, when I got home, we flew in Friday night. The first thing I did is I went to a Mexican restaurant and got a burrito. So that was Friday when I got home. Yesterday, I got a carne asada burrito. And today, I don't know where we're going to go for lunch, but I wouldn't mind getting Mexican food again. We didn't have any, there was no hashtag super burrito eating when I was over there. Because I didn't want to be disappointed. So, I was eating stuff like po' boy sandwiches. What else did I eat? I didn't have any barbecue. That was one thing that I should have ate, barbecue. But I did go to a steak place in Baltimore. That was dope. And did I have fish and chips? No, I didn't even have fish and chips out there. But yeah, as soon as I got home, we went to that taco shop. So I needed that burrito. And then, okay, so the third comic book store was in Washington, D.C. So, we drove 5-6 hours to, where did I drive to? North Canton, Ohio. And that's where my wife is originally from. So we went there, we went to go see one of our aunts. It's my favorite and my wife's favorite. Aunt on her side of the family, Aunt Lori. We went to go see her. The weird thing about that, it's not weird, because to them it's normal. Dude, they got deer just like walking around the neighborhood, just chilling. Like you'll see like 4 or 5 deer, just like cruising around the neighborhood. You know, the everyone, the neighbors or the neighborhood, they're cool to the deer. You know, they'll put corn, like kernels of corn in the yard, and they'll just come up. And yeah, they were like, the deer were pretty fearless. They weren't scared of anything, you know, because I guess the neighborhood, they're really good to them. So in North Canton, that around that area, I went to 3 comic book stores. The first one is Hazel's Heroes. It was crazy because, you know, back here usually when the guy that you have like keys, comic keys, they're behind the counter on the wall. Dude, he had keys just like in the aisle, just like you could actually like grab it, and it just tells you the level of like, you know, I don't know if the word crime is. It's like, I guess, you know, people are not grabbing comics and just running out the door. But yeah, he had some pretty good keys just hanging out, just like, you know, right there. They had long boxes, and then they had a little rack, and then the comics were sitting back there. But Hazel's Heroes was one. The second one was Bill's Comics and Bill's Books and More, and that was a dope one. And the let me give you some more some history behind these 2 comic book stores. I went to these 2 comic book stores about 12 years ago. So what was cool, yeah, like HOFG said, wow, that is trusting your fellow human. Yes, yeah, that was dope. Oh, I got another story like that. So when we flew into Charlotte, when we got out of the airport, they had a open cooler with like snacks and drinks and stuff, and it was self checkout. So I was like, wow, that wouldn't fly out here, man. People be grabbing shit for free, getting it free. But yeah, no, they had it was self checkout. They had like Twinkies and sandwiches and like Red Bulls. Well, not Red Bulls, Celsius. They had Celsiuses and fruit, and you grab it, and then you go to the self checkout and you know, do your card or whatever. But yeah, no, that's another example of trusting your fellow human. So, and I that was refreshing. I love seeing that. And the third comic book store that I went to in Ohio wasn't much of a comic book store. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was mostly just gaming, Magic. It was like there's a lot of Magic, and I say because it was weird because it says whatever the title was of the comic book store, it said comics underneath. It didn't say comics and games. It said like Joe Blow's Comics, right? But I would go in there and it was just pretty much all gaming. Dude, Comic Journey, what's up? I was supposed to interview Real Rude, but he never showed up. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened. He probably fell asleep. You know, he was hungover. Do they have mangoes and plums? No, that I remember. I don't know. I don't remember no mangoes and plums. No, bananas, apples. Yeah, bananas and apples. Mangoes and plums, that's kind of like, it's not exotic, but I can't see someone picking a plum over an apple and a banana. You know what I mean? Because that's I think as far as like people's tastes, that's like people will gravitate more to an apple or banana to a plum. I don't. That's just my opinion. I didn't do anything to Rude. He didn't show up. He was hungover. I did talk to him 2 hours ago. And then before the stream, about 10 minutes before the stream, I said, "You ready?" And I never got an answer. So this is going to be funny because this is live stream. I usually record these interviews. And he said, you know what? That's probably going to be kind of hard. Let's just do it live. So it was his idea to do this live. And we're supposed to do the interview without any shirts. So so this is going to be the funniest one yet. So okay, 30. We're gonna go 30. We're gonna go 30 minutes. I have about like 4 minutes. So yeah, let's just keep on talking. If I knew that I would have to give him a mango or a plum to be on the to show up, I would have gave him both. So yeah, okay. So this comic book store. You know what? Now that's killing me. I need to know the name of this comic book store that was said comics, but they didn't have any comics. They had game. The majority of it, they had comics, but it was like 10% comics and it was 9% games. It should have been whatever Joe Blow's games. You know what I mean? Not Joe Blow's comics. But I'm gonna find out what the name of this comic book store is. Let me look under Yelp. Let's see. It was called Universal Comics, and it didn't have a lot of comics. It had the 90% of that store was games, so it should have been Universal Games. And then maybe on the side in small lettering, it could say with some comics. Then that would have made sense. Yeah. So Hazel's Heroes, Bill's Books and More, and Universal Comics were the three comic book stores. And again, when I say Universal Comics as a comic book store, I'm saying that very lightly because, again, they didn't have a lot of comics. It was all games, you know? So Joe Blow Comics, yeah. Now Joe Blow Comics and Comics. Comic Journey, CJ. Dude, I miss you, bro. I miss you. I wish you went to Heroes Con. That would have been fun meeting you. But I don't know what you look like. I only know your hands. I know I would have to look at your hands and go, wait a minute, aren't you CJ? All right. So pretty much on my vacation, it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So 9 days. I was on vacation for 9 days. We flew back Friday. Our flight was supposed to only be 5 hours and 30 minutes, but it ended being 8 hours. When we were in Baltimore, they actually shut down the airport as far as letting flights go out. I guess the weather was unsafe. So we were sitting in the plane for hours. I was just like, oh my God, man. And on top of that, the plane was packed. I guess the plane seated 144 passengers. Well, there was 144 passengers on that plane. It was packed. And the thing that sucks is that they didn't have assigned seating. It was just first come, first serve. So my wife and I didn't get to sit next to each other. We sat, I sat in a row in front of her. She was behind me. She was between two ladies. I was between two dudes. The guy on the right, he was all about like gaming. He was like not even, he was like in his own little world playing his little game, right? The guy on the left was an older dude, and I found out that he was an architect, very intelligent bro, but he was very nice. He was nice. He was on vacation with his wife and their grandkids. What they did, I don't know. I didn't ask. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes it's just like if he wanted me to know what he did on his vacation, he would tell me. You know what I mean? But the thing is that we did hit it off pretty good. So the flight home wasn't too bad. You know, I actually finished the book. Check out this book I finished. I finished this book. You know, 5 hours there, 5 hours back. Well, you know how there was a delay, so it was actually 8 hours. I got to finish this book. This book's awesome. Actually, this book was supposed to be on Trav the Shipping Guru and Evil Mike's channel. They were doing book reads, and this was the book that we were reading. But Evil, he actually got a job at the post office, so he had to cancel that whole thing, the book club thing. But what's cool though is that Evil found a job that pays well, so yeah, congratulations to him. But I did get the book, and I read it I was on vacation, so I was happy about that. But when I was in Heroes, I met guys like Vogs 18. I met Phil. I don't know if Phil's still here. I saw Phil, dude, awesome dude. I know Rude would have loved to see Phil. So Phil was out there. Christina Payne. Shit, there were so many people out there. I'm trying to remember everybody. Heroes for a Hire Comic Club. Matt was out there. So 3 people from the Amazing Friends were out there. Was Christina Payne, Vogs 18, Matt, Heroes for a Hire Comic Club was out there. And then who else did I saw? I saw Madam. Madam was out there. Lady Fantastic. Man, nice ladies. Well, the funny thing is that I've been on a few shows. Oh, she was actually on my stream. Madam was on my stream. And the thing is that when I see the ladies, I try to be a gentleman. And so when I saw Madam, I gave her a hug. I kissed her on the cheek. She didn't fucking recognize me. She was like, "Who the fuck is this guy kissing my cheek?" And I go, "Don't you remember who I am?" She's like, "No, I don't know who you are." I said, "Oh, I'm Paul the 619." And then she hugs me, remembering who I was. And then, so funny, we did a group picture. And I stepped on her foot. Yeah, she's like, I don't know what we were doing. We were all lining up for a picture, and I went like this, and I stepped on her foot. She's like, "Ow!" I was like, "Oh shit, yeah." So that happened, and then Phil just reminded me. Roscoe was out there. Cliff. You know what's so weird? It's like you don't know how tall people are when you're online because everyone's sitting down, so everyone's the same height. I'm not a small guy. You know what I mean? I'm like average height, but it felt like everyone was taller than me, but which is okay. I don't I don't have a problem with it, but it was just funny, Who else was there? Legion of Comics was out there. Rob's Fat Stacks. The Godfather, Brian LCS was out there. Yeah, so I met so many dudes, and it was, to me, it was like overwhelming, especially in the meet and greet, just to see all these people that I admire on YouTube in one place, just to see them was like, what the fuck? Yeah, fun. So, okay, so Rude never texted me back, so I guess we're going to reschedule interview. I think. I don't know. I don't want to be like this again, but this is actually fun. I actually got all the Heroes Con off my chest. You know what? Okay, CJ, check this out. Okay, so I'm going to Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con next month, and that place is so crowded. You definitely smell the BO. The cool thing about Heroes is that the aisles are very spaced out, and it's not as crowded. So it's not like I had to go up to some dude and involuntarily smell his BO. It was well ventilated. Yeah, I didn't smell any body odor, which is, dude, that's always a good day, right? When you don't have to smell that. But so we're gonna pretty much end this. Unfortunately, Rude never made it. I think he went back to sleep. He was hungover, so sleep is probably what he needed. But I love everyone that dropped in to see this. The reason I'm not wearing a shirt is because we were supposed to do this interview without our shirts, because it's hot, and sometimes when Rude's on our live stream on Tuesday nights, he's not wearing a shirt. So I said, yeah, fuck it, let's just not wear shirts. But he never showed up. But okay, again, thank you everybody for being here. Have a good Sunday, and peace out.